from Soumen Mukherjee, who has he's a software architect and he's got more than 19 years of experience under his belt, mostly in product and application security. Done a lot of work in cloud-based security solutions, SaaS application, and other cloud platforms. And today he's going to be talking to us about defense being the best offense, which I love that title. So welcome on board, Soumen, and thank you for joining us on DevSecOn. We're looking forward to your talk.
Yeah, thank you, Shilpi, and thank you, Brahma. Wonderful to be part of this event, and great people. Shilpi, and is in particular, you are a rock star, by all means.
I didn't
So,
pay you for this. I'm just gonna put a disclaimer out there, but no, thank you very much.
no problems. So
Perfect.
yeah, so I'm ready for my talk. Give me
Amazing. I
one
will
thing.
add your slide deck to the thing,
Yeah,
and Prama and I will just go away in the background, and we're looking forward to this.
sure. Okay, great. So yeah, so defense is the best offense. Obviously, it's soccer time, so it generally this is a term which is used many very widely in soccer and in other games like cricket, hockey. We say attack is the best defense, but this is just an kind of a oxymoron in that sense. But yes, in today's context, when we talk about product security, application security, yeah, a lot of focus goes into uh, red teaming, pen testing, and basically trying to make sure that the controls are working. But what about the fact that you actually have to go out and build those controls, and uh, there is obviously some good things that you can follow. So this my lightning talk is actually going to focus on this approach where you focus on your defensive security in your product, in your solution. So that's what it is going to be, and with that I would move forward. So, what is defensive product security? I think it is important to understand what you really mean and what you really want to do in terms of defense. So, yeah, if you look at the literal definition, so it says, okay, you do defense in depth. You have multiple layers of security and they are put out throughout the system. Uh, and the objective of having multiple layers of security is to provide redundancy. So in case one control is breached, there is another control which is there to take care of your data, of your confidentiality, or of the availability of the system. So now, what are the approaches that you can take? So this is fine as a concept, but I think three important steps which are kind of pillars to the defensive product security is security requirements identification, design security, and secure development practices. I think these are the three key elements, and moving forward I'm going to talk a little bit more about these aspects. So one thing which is very important to understand and that kind of people tend to ignore is identification of what to secure. We have an application, we might have a perimeter, fine, but you will have a lot of information assets in the system. Information assets could be database, could be configuration values, could be endpoints, uh, could be anything which is at the boundary or providing some kind of status. So identification of the critical information asset of the system is, I think, very important. Another important thing is the identification of the doomsday scenario, which basically means, okay, what is the condition that is going to cause the most business impact? Okay, is it your system going down, or is it getting the system, the data breach? So exactly, you have to look at your system from the business angle and identify the doomsday scenario. Not everything is like super critical or super risky, but yes, definitely there are certain things which are uh, really that will always be on the top of the list, so you have to identify those. Then We talk about security baselining, again, a very important concept. Not many are, you know, do this in my view. They kind of try to jump this step and say, okay, we will build it ground up. But there is definitely a lot of advantage if you follow this a structured approach where you say that, okay, I will have a minimum set of security controls defined for my system. And again, this the minimum set is different for from system to system. So you might have a different set of minimal controls for let's say a restaurant booking solution versus if it's something that caters to personal data or patient data, then obviously you have there is a lot more expected out of the minimum set of security controls. So I think that is very important to identify what is the bare minimum thing that you need to do in terms of your solution, in terms of your product, or in terms of your system. Security by design, yes, again, uh, very important concept. I can talk hours and hours about this, but okay, just in one slide. The solution should be designed in a way that you can always add extra layers of security, or modify the way the security is implemented or enforced at any given point of time. It has to be flexible, it has to be configurable, in the sense you can't really say that I will do it later. You cannot put those controls later. You have to have it part of your design. So I think uh, very important for everybody to understand that the security is best enforced from the architecture side. You can't say that my architecture is like this and I will build a security layer around it. It's security by design is like your immune system. You have to be strong from within to be able to fight all the external you know pathogens, viruses, and all that stuff. So I think that is what is important to understand. The core or the crux of security by design is that it is something which is enforced by the architecture. It is something that comes from within. You can't really do it from the outside. CIA triad, very important. Again, this is a foundation of information security, but even for product security, product application security, system security, just focus on these three important aspects, and I think you would have a smooth sailing. So focus on the confidentiality of the data, maybe data at rest or in motion or on which is on the display. Just make sure that the right data is displayed at the right place and to the right person. That is very important. uh, Integrity, be it data, transaction, or anything else, make sure that your system has ways and means to ensure the integrity of the data. Verify the integrity of the data, and you know make sure that it kind of stays in that state. And availability is paramount, I think. One of the most exploited triad is the availability part, where the system just simply just goes out of reach of the legitimate user, and that causes more business damage than anything else. So I think these three things aspects have to be very importantly focused at the time of uh, designing your solutions security architecture, right? Secure development practices. I think this was also one of the three pillars that I have mentioned. So, if you really talk about secure development practices, okay, so if you talk about development, yeah, static application security testing, secure code review, uh, making sure what is written in the code can not or will not create problems in the future. Uh, I think that is very important, and you have a lot of tools that you can use there. You use can use SNCC there. You can use the SNCC code plugins, the IDE plugins for taking care of your application security requirements for the source code. Vulnerability management, very important. People, I still see people, with, even after all these supply chain issues and all those incidents that have happened over the last few years, I still see people, developers, downloading packages without giving a thought of how vulnerable the package is as of today, and what it, what is the going to be the scope of it in the future. Many packages, they are currently not vulnerable, but they have not been updated either for the last few years, and that's a truth. They are not they are not being actively supported by the owner of that package now. So do we really actually use such kind of packages? I would say give a thought, look for alternative, because if a package is not being supported, what happens tomorrow if there is a vulnerability that is detected? You are screwed up actually. So then testing, if you talk about testing, yeah, very important. DAST, make sure you use a DAST scanner for the UI. Your UI should be, it's like the skin of your system. Make sure it's protected. So it's, I think, very important. uh, Fundamentally, I think that is something that we were like, we have been seeing it for a long time, but so people tend to kind of downplay the value of DAST, but in my opinion, it is still very important step in terms of making sure your system is secure. First testing, good concept, but it really gives the benefit if it is done in the right way with the right tools and at the right places. So first testing, again, very important. Take some time, but do it. Chaos engineering, again, very important part of making sure your system is resilient against chaotic scenarios. Your system remains available. There are mechanisms in the system that can handle such chaotic scenarios, because typically for hitting the availability of the system, the attackers will try to create chaos in your ecosystem. So that is very important. Deployment, fine. You did everything, you validated everything, everything is running good. Now you have deployed. So what do? You continuously monitor them for vulnerabilities, make sure that you patch them proactively, and also do a good monitoring of the solutions. See what is happening in the logs, see the behaviors, watch out for spikes, watch out for some unusual set of requests and unusual stuff happening on your server instance or pod or cluster, whatever. But be a little vigilant. I think that is what is very important. So if you kind of do all these three things together in the right amount and in the right manner, I think you have a good and great secure system. Vulnerability management, obviously, again a concept, but yes, if you look at the life cycle, there's a discovery phase, prioritization phase, assessment phase, reporting phase, remediation phase, and verification phase. But very important that we do the vulnerability management, we have a proper governance around it, and we have a proper mechanism to do a vulnerability management in terms of software that we use, in terms of the supply chain of the software, and in terms of even internal components that we might be using in a solution or in a product. And yeah, security testing, if we talk about in a little more detail, go through a structured approach. Many people say security testing is all about pen testing. No, it is part of it, but there has to be some structure. prepare a security test plan. Very important. uh, when you I am still like old school. I still ask for security test plan. I still ask people to identify security test cases. Very important, because it cannot be ad hoc. Systems are not like that. You cannot just test them ad hoc. Focus on edge cases. That is where the problem is most of the time. And always prefer automation. It's a one time effort, but once you do it, you are going to reap the benefits in the longer term. So, conclusion. um, so to outline a defensive product strategy, it's basically a well balanced approach of all the aspects outlined before in the slides. It's a multi-tiered approach, is always preferred for a product or a system security, and we have to raise the bar always. So do it iteratively, make best use of the agile practices, but raise the bar always. I think that is the key to have a good life with a secure product and a secure solution. I think that is, I think if you follow these mantras, I pretty sure that your solution will stay secure, and will really be resilient against various attacks and all the bad guys. So I think that is all, Shilpi, that I wanted to share. I would be happy to take questions at this stage.
Amazing. No, thank you so much. Really, really enjoyed the talk. And I think I've loved your analogy with the immune system. Like, I think I've actually not heard that one from before, but I think I'm going to actually steal it. Being
Yeah.
strong from the inside, I think that's a
Yes.
great, great way to describe it. So I definitely
Yes.
have, enjoyed that. And the talk was good. I think I'm impressed by how people are being able to squeeze so much value in, just 15
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah, I think that is the beauty of the lightning talk. You have to really be concise, and so I really love this. Great, great concept, great execution. Thumbs up
Amazing.
from my
Thank you.
side.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I did have a very quick question. So, I've got a question from Randall here who's watching us on YouTube. How do you get
Mhm.
started doing this at a small company? He was working at a startup and he
Mhm.
thinks it would be tricky to convince other engineers to set this up.
Yeah. So I would say if it's a small company, if you want to really start, just start with the secure development practices first. I think that is what the developers will easily correlate with. If you start talking about security baselining, security by design, those are obviously slightly high level concepts where they might need certain guidance, but secure development practices, get the tools in place. I think SNCC is exactly defined or designed for such kind of a setup where you don't have anything and you want to immediately start and immediately reap the benefits. Use the platform. It has everything that you need to have a secure development environment, in terms of making sure your code is right, your supply chain is validated, and a lot of things are coming up, even from the deployment aspects. So yeah, I think just start with a simple set of tools. Start with a good, healthy, secure development practices. I think that would be the starting point for such a use case.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think that's great advice. I think I'm loving how the information is being layered up. We did have, earlier Mitch saying, start with good intent and, you've layered that up with saying good, security practices. So I'm
Yeah.
loving, the conversations here. Thank you so much again, Simon, for joining us and for the talk.